here's the issue. So technically it would be Monday, but because Mondays are like, whatever, we can say like Monday, Tuesday. But my concern is Tuesday afternoon I will be out. So you're gonna have to remember because then they're like actually due Tuesday. Right? So Tuesday is like the critical get them actually turned in.
And Itzel Alarcon, please come to the remote office. Luz and Itzel Alarcon, please come to the remote office. Thank you.
So
Why are you out?
another follow-up thing for my heart nonsense.
Okay.
So they like to spread things out. It's silly. Oh, sorry, we're over there, Hazel. The green paper right there. Who can remind us what we talked about yesterday? Like, let's say somebody wasn't here or they fell asleep during the class and they're like, yeah, what'd you guys do? Audrey?
We talked about regular interest and compound interest.
Now, what do you mean regular
Simple interest.
Simple interest and compound interest. Do you want to give me more?
Compound interest is like interest on the total amount of money that you had from the previous interest, I think. And then interest is just like a regular rate of money that you
Dropping
get
words.
for
Interest. What kind of interest? Alex, you have your hand real high. Give us another from your perspective.
Like what they are?
Yeah, like give us a summary of what we did yesterday, real quick.
Okay. Depending on your percent interest, depends on how much money you gain by having different money in the bank. That's simple interest, and then compound interest is interest on interest.
Yeah, it's interest on interest. Right? So that's the biggest thing to remember about compound interest. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. If a test asked you, what's the easy way to define compound interest, you could say it's
Interest on
interest on interest. Henry? On interest on interest.
So, would you rather have, would you rather have 1/100th of a percent compound interest or 1% simple interest?
Well, it depends on the principle and the term and a whole lot of other things. So we will get into problems like that, but today I've got other problems for us to solve, right? Like I actually have a lesson plan for us. So, John needs to borrow $250. So Moneybags Municipal Bank says that they will loan it to him. Now they'll loan it to him, but because it's their money and he's borrowing it, they're going to charge him 8% simple interest each week. Yes, Moneybags Municipal Bank. It's part of a municipality.
What's the
I don't care. They still
municipality?
just have a money bag.
So, what?
What's the municipality?
You'd need to look it up. I wouldn't be a good definer of it. I have a general idea, like in my head. It's like when things are grouped together to be kind of like a city or a county or like a municipality is like a group. So that would be like a local bank, not like Chase National. So Chase is a national bank because they have branches everywhere, and a huge one here. Now, Scrooge Savings down the street will charge him 6% compound interest each week. Henry, please stop helicoptering, because this is exactly the type of problem you were just asking about, simple versus compound. So, my task for you is make a table for each of the banks, Moneybags and Scrooge, and figure out what would he owe after 12 weeks, which bank should he borrow the money with. Now, if we're borrowing and paying back, do we want more money or less money? Less, right? We want to pay back less money. So set this up.
More money.
Then if you get done with that, let's graph these on one set of axes with time being your x-axis and money being your y-axis.
What's that formula?
So we're going 12, look back in yesterday's notes. Or today's green sheet has a formula on it. Yesterday's, or no, sorry, it's 811. 811 has simple interest, and today has your compound interest.
Compound interest
formula.
is much harder, so.
It is much harder.
Well,
Do you?
I was just gonna say, can we just like put it in and just find? Oh, never mind.
I mean, you could use a calculator if that's essentially what you're asking.
No, I thought we could.
Are you okay?
I mean, I wish.
well, we don't have our green sheets out, so we're missing some of those formulas. So simple interest was I equals P times R times T.
Mr. Hudson,
Yes, sir.
what's our principal?
What's the beginning amount? Principal is what we start with. Principal is either what we invest or what we borrow. Right, so our principal amount is $250 here. Rate, the R value, you want to do this with us? The R value has to be put into decimal form. So at Moneybags, what's the R?
800.
Yeah, 800, 0.08, right? So this is going to turn into 250 times 0.08, and then every times however many terms we've gone. So we could go 1 for just after 1 week, how much interest has accrued. But what did we talk about yesterday? We wanted, well, wait, so this simple interest does the same every time, right? So if I just figure out what happens every week, I can then apply that every week, right? So we need to make tables, right? So for Moneybags, if I say time in weeks and balance, I need a pen. My finger can only write so much.
I made them all in one table. Is that okay?
Sure. I'll scooch this over so we can do balance at Moneybags, and then in a different color, we'll say Scrooge balance. Yeah, Moneybags Bank. No, it is not. So we could do like after 1 week, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12. We could start kind of skipping. Oh, crap. 0 weeks. We always want to talk about 0 weeks. So at 0 weeks, he borrowed $250, and that is the same at either bank. That's the day he got his money. Right, Katie? You look very bored right now. Oh, well, that's good. How much, what does he make each, or not make, what does he owe each week for simple interest then?
For simple interest, for the, wait, for simple?
Yeah, simple, Moneybags Bank, the 8%.
He owes 257,
So he added $7 to it. Can I get some verification?
I think that's wrong, actually.
No, it's $20.
Is it?
Yeah.
So, check this out.
This times
10% would be divided by 10. 1% would be divided by 100. So 1% of this is 2.50. Right? If you do 1% of the start. So if that's 1%, multiply 2.5 by 8. What's 2.5 times 8? Simon? 20. So we're adding $20 every week. So this is 270, 290, 310, 330. Now if we start to skip though and jump our way up, if I am adding 20 every 1 week, right? This is 1 week, but it's $20. How much would it be for a jump of 4 weeks? $80, right? Like 4 times the weekly jump. So this would be an $80 jump. That take us to 410. And where we want to really go is 12 weeks. So another $80 jump. So 490. Now, like we said yesterday, the other way we could do this
That's a lot.
if we want to go ahead and make the 12 weeks, somebody do this in their calculator. 250 times 0.08 times 12, I believe you should get 240.
Yeah.
So this tells you the interest, the extra he'll have to pay is $240.
Well, shouldn't you?
And then we add that, which gets us to the 490. Because remember, this is interest. Have we talked about the BIP formula yet?
No.
I don't think we have. The BIP formula can also be called the BPI formula. I mean, you've had a homework problem where it's been necessary to figure that out. The balance, yes, balance can mean like when you get something to balance, but the balance is the amount at the end. So the balance equals interest plus principal or principal plus interest. Doesn't matter which way we add. We started with 250, we took on an extra 240. Or we took on an extra 240 on top of our original 250. Either way, we get 49. Questions on the simple interest solution here? Nope. Take a moment and graph that on some axes. So set up some axes, decide a scale. We need to go up to at least 500, but wait.
No, you have to go up for more than that.
Yeah, because
we might need to go more than that. So actually, we should probably put a pause on that. We should probably figure this out before we graph. So, Alex, how do we deal with compound interest if we want to go week by week? If we don't want to use that complicated formula yet.
But it's not okay. You multiply by the number that you gave.
What is Scrooge charging us?
6% compound interest?
6%. So yesterday we talked about what number we would multiply by here because it's not 0.06.
It's
It's 1.06. Guys, please have this written out in your graph paper. We're gonna be asked to master this next week. Yeah, because this is a quick chapter. Maybe the week after, depending on how much other crazy stuff happens, like science fair and whatever. But we should be done with that by then. This is the original amount. The 1 is the original amount. The 0.06 adds on the interest, and it just does it all at once. So when I multiply 250 by 1.06, it's probably not as nice of a number, but that comes out to be somebody.
265.
Oh, maybe it's still a nice number. So that makes sense because after 1 week, they're charging less interest, right? It's only 6% compared to 8%. So 8% here after 1 week. Or 6% here after 1 week. Obviously, after 1 week, we'd rather choose the 6%. But then we do it again.
It still doesn't get higher. It goes to 280.9.
280.9, which we'd make into money for them. Do it again times 1.06. You guys want to see a cool calculator trick?
297.
Yeah, you just do the times instead of adding the.
Just hit times 1.06 and hit enter. But then, Simon, every time you want to do it again, just hit enter again. Don't type anything else. It'll redo the last question you did.
It's the exact same question.
It grabs the answer again. So I wish I had my dot camera. Let me borrow this just to check that it works. If you do 250 times 1.06, everybody do this with me, then hit enter. Now, just hit times 1.06, and your screen should say ANS times 1.06.
Oh yeah, I've always used that.
Watch. Hit enter again, you get that 280.9. Hit enter again without typing anything else. It takes you to the next week. Hit enter again without typing anything else. Takes you to the next week. Well, you didn't do it right then. I can come help you, but that's the long and short of it. Hey, I need you with me. So you get the first one, but then what you didn't do is hit times and get the ANS 1.06. Now try it. So after you hit it again to get to week 3,
You get 29.7.7.
Wait, 29.
Oh, sorry, 200.
200, not what?
296.
Oh, 290.
I can't speak.
290 what?
297.
Point what?
.75.
Wouldn't it matter how quickly he pays this back? Wouldn't you have to take that into account?
Yeah, he's paying it back after 12 weeks.
Yeah, they told us 12 weeks.
Well, yeah,
some interesting
but
lines
that's
with
just.
them.
Why don't we just let the bank do it?
You know what I don't need is judgment.
I'm not judging.
No.
I'm asking questions.
Audrey was like, those are some interesting lines. You ever seen like a line down the street that like looks like somebody who painted it like did it wrong? Those always make me laugh. One more time, we can just hit answer. So we'll get
315, 315.61.
But then we'll have to do week 5, week 6, week 7, and get to week 8.
All
Or we
you
have to
do is hit
keep.
answer.
Couldn't we just?
Katie Ann?
398. Week 8 is 334.55.
I don't think that's high enough.
No, it's
That's
398.46.
It's
Three-
492.337.
I've heard that more than any other number that has been shouted out.
Yeah.
No,
What
that's-
you? It's the number you said.
No, you said
398.
420.
It's the number I originally said, but then I doesn't. I think that's.
I just need a calculator, guys. You took them all.
Here, just borrow mine.
Hey, can you guys please, if you see calculators around the school places that they shouldn't be, bring them back?
398.
All right, I'm starting here. 315.16 or 0.61. By the way, this is meant to be frustrating on purpose. Because then we talk about the better way. Week 5 would be 334.54. Week 6 times 1.06 would be 354.61. Week 7, 375. Week 8, 398.46.
Never mind.
Week 9, week 10, week 11, week 12. Uh-oh.
Yeah. So I just. That doesn't.
Week 12 is.
If you got anything else, guess what you would need to do? Go a week at a time. Because this jump is what messed with you. You would actually have to make a table that had all 12 weeks if your calculator skills aren't quite good enough. Patrick?
I got like 0.02 off of your final answer.
That's probably because
I got
there was
way
rounding
more.
somewhere. This, okay, I started here and it was rounded. So yeah, the rounding made an issue. If I didn't round, Katie Ann, do you have the exact?
I do.
No, I don't have, but I'm saying, isn't there a lot easier way just to square it by 12?
There is
That's what I
a
was
much
wondering.
easier way.
Isn't it?
So the whole point of this
No,
is to make you hungry for the equation I already gave you because you already got your notes for today. So look here on your green paper, if you have not yet. The formula A. Now what does A mean?
Can I say it? Or
Sure, go ahead.
Total amount including previous interest earned.
Total amount including previous interest earned.
So it changes, right?
That's everything, right? So at the top of your green sheet, guys, I got some people talking and I'm confused why. I'm gonna clone this page.
Yeah, that's illegal.
No, it's not alive though. It's like when I go to the Xerox machine.
So we're allowed to clone bananas?
No, I thought you could clone your own dog and your own cat.
Okay,
For a lot of
can
money.
we not?
Wait, you can clone things?
Yeah.
Yes.
Where have you
You're
been?
not allowed to clone humans.
So, just like this equation for simple interest, we have the same thing for compound interest. And that equation is on your green sheet, but we might as well write it on your graph paper to get you comfortable with it, is A for account balance, and then you could also put B, equals P times 1, I was waiting for somebody who was looking at their sheet to help me out, 1 plus R to the, well, what do we use there? N or X? N for number of terms. N for number of terms. Do not fall in the trap of putting M for months or Y for years. Don't do that. Train yourself this way so that it works for any situation. Here, it's a month, or sorry, it's a weekly term, right? So this is actually going to be like W in the exponent. So in your calculator, type in 250 parentheses, because it does the multiplication for you, 1.06, because we're smart people and we can do that addition on our own, to the 12th power. Now you could type this in with the addition symbol, it doesn't matter, but you could also just do it in your head and add on that 1 to your interest rate. This will immediately jump you to
503.009.
Who would rather do that than do 12 rows of a table? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I overteach, right? Like I told you, I wasn't supposed to teach you the exponent technique yesterday, but hooey to that, I'd rather teach you what you want to know when you want to know it. So that's why some of you were sitting here. I mean, sure, that involves like throwing things off of buildings, but you know. So parabolas. So you were supposed to now, like this was supposed to be like, oh my gosh, we can use an exponent. Cool. It's okay. Let's move on. Let's apply it. Let's do it. So this shouldn't have been there. It was CPM kind of being lazy with their cut, but I was also lazy and I just struck it out. So if we look here at Devin's bank account, not the Devin we talked about yesterday, but so if we compare this, this was on your green sheet. I totally forgot that this was here. Some of you probably figured that out, but 24 was on here. If you want to go back and underline anything or write any formulas there to help you with your homework, it might be beneficial to go write those there. Haley?
Is there a way to like tell the equation of compound interest?
Yes.
What do you mean tell the equation?
Like find out how the compound interest is working?
Where's your green sheet for today?
It's simple
Pull that
interest
out.
and it's going up by 5.25.
Somewhere.
Are you saying when you are given the account balances to work backwards? There is, and that's what we're going to talk about.
Agreed.
Yay.
Simon, you were going to try to answer her question?
Yeah, I didn't really understand the question, but if she's asking how you find out the interest rate, you would just take in order to figure out the number for the interest rate, you would just take you would take your old number and you would take your number after 1 week, and you would take the number after 1 week and you would divide it by the old number, and then you would get the.
No, wait, you're assuming something though.
What?
You're right, but you're assuming something.
That it's.
You're assuming compound.
Oh, never mind.
Do we know what type of interest Devin's making?
Not
yet.
But it's definitely simple.
So, here's what I need you to like train yourself with. For now, until the end of ever doing math, when you see a table, you want to ask yourself, linear or not? The not, like there's a lot of things in that not space. We just want to determine, is it linear or not? Henry?
I did the math, and it increases by 5.75 each time.
Every time? So if we do the subtraction of 63.25 minus 57.5, because the 200 doesn't really matter, because it's shared by them, we get 5.75. If we do the subtraction of 69 minus 63.25, we get 5.75. If we do the subtraction 74.75, we get 5.75. Here's the other thing that you can see. 50, 25, 0, 0, 75, 50, 25, like there's a consistent pattern. It doesn't get messier. Compound interest often gets messier. So, exactly what Simon was saying is true if it's compound interest. Or, wait, does that work for simple too, Simon? Let's try it.
Well,
right?
No, you can just take the old number and subtract. You would take the new number and subtract it by the old number, and then you get that, and then you find out what percent that is of the old number.
So we did the subtraction. What if, so I need somebody over here do 263.25 divided by 257.50. Somebody over here do 575 divided by 257.50.
102. 1.02. Yes, 0.022330097. I said.
Hey, hold up, eyes.
It's a weird interest rate.
It's a what?
That's a weird interest rate.
Interest. Did I tell you about my home loan is 4.125. If I were to write that out in rate form, it'd be 0.0. How many zeros? Yeah, no. Yeah. 4125. That many decimal places.
Well,
And that's common because like I bought it down. Actually, I don't like I could teach you a ton about finances, but literally when you get a loan, a giant loan, like let's say $165,000, they will give you the offer to spend some money and buy a cheaper interest rate, like a lower interest rate, because that is going to pertain to $165,000. True stories, that's what my loan was. So I bought it down from 4.25 to 4.125. I bought 1/8%. You can literally buy percentages. Henry?
Would you rather?
That's a fun game. Would you rather?
Do you think it's better to just pay the whole entire fee for the house up front or pay it over time?
Well, considering it would have taken me a very long time to save $165,000, and I already had 2 dogs that wanted a yard to play in, I decided I wanted to just go ahead and take a loan. Okay. So now, financially, which is better? If you have the money and can spend the money, do it because you'll end up paying less. Right? Like I will end up paying probably over $200,000 on the house that was $165,000, but that's because the interest that you pay. Right? You're paying interest the whole time, so you're not just paying back what you borrowed. You're paying back what you borrowed and extra from every single month. So guys, like here, let me show you this.
Wait, does the interest rate get more expensive?
It depends if your rate is variable or fixed. A fixed interest rate will not change. A variable interest rate, as the word variable would infer, does. Check this out. Literally an email I got today. I can't make this stuff up because this is actually my email. Take advantage of low rates, purchase or refinance. A refinance is when you already have a loan and you want to renegotiate the terms. So I owe less than this on my house now, right? So if I wanted to take a 30-year loan, I could take a 3.5%. Now this APR, like we talked about, the annual percent rate, that's why they have the 2 asterisks. You can come down if you do read the whole thing, there's some fine print about that. But notice a shorter loan, what you'll pay back more quickly, is a better interest rate because they want you to pay them back more quickly. They want to incentivize you to pay them back more quickly, and because the loan term has half of the life, it costs a lot more. But compare this to this. Is this amount double this amount? No. So in the end, because the 3% is better than the 3.5, the 15-year would be better. So Henry, to answer your question really, the best you can do is the shortest loan term possible because you'll pay the least amount of interest.
It's good for the bank and it's good for you.
Yeah, what's best for the bank is if you keep the loan forever and just keep paying the minimum because they'll keep charging you interest forever. So that's what's best for the bank. But you're right, a 15-year fixed rate, that's good for everybody. That's good for the bank, that's good for me. It'd be great. I might do this actually. I am thinking about doing this. Hazel?
Do you still owe money on your house?
I do. I owe about $140,000 probably.
When was the
Simon?
So if I was more asking because you can buy off percentages, is there a limit of that? Because if you end up with a 0% interest rate, then that would be
no. They offer you you can buy it down by 1/8% or 1/4%. There's no they give you a tiny window of what you can negotiate.
Not even 8%?
No. A whole percent is huge, man. When you talk about a percent of thousands of dollars, $100,000, 1% is big. So, guys, and I want you to know, I throw these numbers around and I give you real numbers, not to be oh my gosh, look at, I live a very modest life. My house is not very expensive. My car is not very expensive. But I want you guys to hear the real math. This is what you're going to deal with when you're out in the real world, which I hate when people say that. when you're an adult and you you handle your own finances, right? You're gonna care about this stuff. I have friends who don't understand this, and they have been screwed by banks because they don't understand what they're signing. And student loans can also get you if you take a bad one, because they know there's lots of college kids, and they're not all very smart. They'll take a loan with a crappy term, or a loan that the first 5 years have a great interest rate, and then the interest rate triples, or something crazy like you gotta read the math and know what's going on. I got on a tangent. All of this to say, if you do the division, you just get the value with the 1. If you do the division with just the interest divided by the initial, you just get the rate without the 1. Sorry, I wrote on top of the decimal. But 0.0223 or 1.0223 is the interest rate, 2.23%. And since this is the same, what type of interest? Simple, right? It's simple because it's the same. Same is simple. Liam?
Since we're learning about interest, shouldn't we be learning about the inflation rate as well?
Yeah, but we can solve problems like that with this knowledge, but you don't need to worry about that right now because it'll be completely different when you really have your own credit card and stuff.
Inflation
Like,
would be great for loan.
So, in general, and I think you're asking about this just also out of and I don't mean any insult out of this, but out of a little bit of naivety, inflation just happens and you have no control on it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to teach you about things that you will have control on. Which interest rate do I take? Do I take a simple or a compound? I'm trying to teach you stuff you control. Inflation, for anyone who's just nodding, oh sure, that word. It's the fact that money is valued less over time because cost keeps going up. So $1 is worth less now than it was worth 50 years ago. That's inflation.
That's why government-controlled economies sometimes work better, so
Yeah.
there's no inflation.
Well, because if you have money in a bank and your interest rate is less than the inflation.
You want your interest rate to be higher than inflation. So, investing money in a bank right now, though, isn't that great. You should really talk to a financial advisor and do stocks or bonds or things
Oh,
like
I have
that.
stocks right now.
And what?
I have Tesla.
Apple?
No,
I
you could
Tesla,
take
Disney.
$10 and go buy stocks. Okay, so for those of you that are oh, what? It's somebody just has to do it for you. You have to be 18. So here, if we did graph that first problem that we did, we would have saw that one of them was a straight line and one of them was not. Right? So Amari is looking at his finances. Now notice, this is interest, not account balance. It's interest. 0 days, 0 interest. Right? You start the loan, you've made nothing. Time, 1 month. What dollar amount would that be? 5. 2 months, that's a little awkward. 3, 4. This actually looks pretty close to nice. Right? Does this look simple or compound?
Compound.
Compound, right? Because it is not straight. It's a line with a little bit of curve. So, you all right?
I didn't fall.
Well, yeah, I know, but it could have hit your leg or something. Dude, it is my job to make sure you guys are okay. That is job number 1. So, if Amari takes 3 months to pay back her uncle, right? If she pays him back in 3 months, well, to read this graph, I know I'm not asking you guys to do a bunch today. I know it's been a crazy week in science fairs tomorrow, so some of you, I hope you're not just hanging out and your ears are at least on me, because I can tell you're not quite looking at me. 3 months, right? We just come down to the x. So if we go there, we find a point on our graph, we bring it over. Approximately, where is that? $17 probably. So yeah, Amari owes her uncle $17. Now, if she decides I don't really need to pay him back that quickly, I'll wait till I owe him $40 in interest. Is that an X value or a Y value?
Why?
Y value now. So we come up here, we trace over, then we come down a little over 6 months, right? So she hangs on to it for half the year. She's gonna own that. Now,
How much money did she borrow?
we don't know. She borrowed some money.
I don't think it really matters right now.
Hopefully it wasn't too expensive, a bicycle.
Yeah, right. My bike was expensive.
How much is your bike?
It was more than I should have, but when you become an adult, then like adult bikes are expensive.
My
Every
stepmom
time
owns
adult
a
bike
bike
is
shop.
Holy
$20.
cow! Do you know what I could do with $11,000?
Okay, that is not what. Okay, just because I don't want anyone thinking I have a bike like that. My bike was like $800. It's a really nice, like for me, in my perspective, my bike is really nice.
Yeah, my stepmom owns a bike shop.
We could get a really
Oh,
cheap
what
blade
shop?
with that.
She owns one in Marysville, but she's trying to get one set here.
I don't know what I could offer, but I mean, you can tell her I'm into cycling. So it's just for what it's worth. Yeah, like I don't know what I have to offer, like in the way of help, but like I would offer help if I could. All right, Grandma gives you $250.
Why would Grandma do that?
Well, because she doesn't want you going to those snakes of a bank, right? Who's got a grandma that has very strong opinions about certain things being bad, right? Like, oh, those.
Oh,
So,
she
grandma.
calls the front seat the kill seat.
Well, or I mean, back in the day, you'd sit in the front seat to actually shoot things out of the window. Like if you were out in the country, yeah, that's why it's called shotgun. You'd actually have a shotgun and shoot things. You guys don't understand. Like old Worthington, 100 years ago or something, maybe you'd understand. So Grandma doesn't want you to go to the bank. So Grandma's gonna offer you $250, or you can go to the bank and get $250. Right? The bank will give you money. They'll just charge you interest. So Grandma knows math, and she's like, okay, honey, I'll give you simple interest. Don't you worry.
Good afternoon. Nora Schwartz, please come to the remote office. Nora Schwartz, please come to the remote office.
Why is your
Thank
grandma
you.
giving you interest?
Because Grandma knows what's up, man. She's not just gonna like give you money with no interest rate.
Charge my mom compound. She takes my money for like parking tickets and never pays me back.
Well, if it's your fault that she got a ticket, then I would
No,
too.
no, like when she's parking for like a Blue Jackets game.
Okay. I'll email your mom this video and see if this is accurate.
Yes. Email it.
Oh, that's not. You mean to pay for parking, dude? Who bought your ticket to the Blue Jackets?
My dad.
Whose money really is it that you have? Okay, we only have 3 minutes. We're gonna move on. So
All the money he stole from your mom.
So wait. I should have been using random cards. That normally helps you guys focus. Which expression there relates to which thing? Bear, what do you think?
I think the bottom left one, the 250 times 102 to the 8th power, I think that would be compound, and the other one would be simple.
Simple interest does not involve powers. Okay, so anything involving a power is going to be that compound interest. Now wait.
That good old compound interest.
They didn't tell us what the rate is.
It's 500%.
500%? Serena! Serena! Can you figure out a way that we might be able to figure out the rate up here?
Probably depending on, because it literally is simplest for the one that has the rate, because I think it's 2% because for the compound one it says it 2.
So it's not 500?
No.
So, I will let you save yourself, Simon. This is not 500%. What is that?
$5.
That's $5. And that $5, Henry, say what you just said,
2%.
is the 2%. So if we did 2% of the initial amount, right, times 0.02. Well, guys, remember, 1% is 2.5. Divide by 100 to get 1%. So 2% would be $5. So as Serena said really well, we can really just look at in those parentheses because we know it's 1 plus R. So it must be 0.02. It must be 2%. So actually, which of these is better? Which of these do you owe less? Patrick?
The grandma's.
What do you owe there?
290.
What's 8 times 5?
40.
40. So this is like 290, right? What would you owe over here? Anyone confused? Katie Ann?
292.91.
Oh my god.
92.91.
You can buy hot dogs.
And you could hope that when you come to your grandma with that $290, she actually goes, "Oh, Sonia, I was just making you do math. Keep your money." No. Okay. Depends on your grandma.
My grandma doesn't make me feel 200. My grandma doesn't care.
Your grandma doesn't charge you interest? No. All right, solve this real fast. Stop talking. 60 seconds. I bet you can solve this. Go. 60 seconds. Well, 56 now.
What? Too much.
52 seconds. No pressure.
Oh, wait, does his cousin wait like a month before he starts charging interest, or does he start charging interest right now?
Interest starts when you get it.
Each year.
Oh, 4 years ago.
Oh. That's $3 a year.
30 seconds.
He already has it bad. 4.
Got it.
10, 9, 8,
Saying numbers
7,
doesn't help.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. With $12 in interest being charged, what was the rate?
3.
Well, that wasn't very confident. Ooh, hold up. I equals P times R we don't know, but T we do. So put the R out here. Right? 4 years. What's 50 times 4? 200. How would we solve for R if we have 200 divided by 12? Divide by 200 on, or yeah, you know what I meant. I'm just talking way too fast. So R is 12 divided by 200. What's that? 0.06. I'm believing you guys because I don't have a calculator.
Yeah, I did it.
That. All right, we're out of time. Get out of here. Have a great day, guys.